PocaTV, Wenzzzday. Yeah, it's Wednesday.
Hello.
It's the thing. Wagwan.
Hey, how you do?
I'm fine.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Please turn down the little speaker. Thank you so much.
Uh,
Yeah.
apologies for last week's absence.
Yeah. Well, we made use of the time. Maybe you checked out the rerun.
Oh yeah, and what a cracker it was.
Thank you.
All about Poca's Suriname ancestry.
Yeah,
Um,
my ancestral journey.
mm,
Mm. Hmm. So we're back on together now with the Ting.
yep.
And
Hmm.
welcome back, DJ. Happy to have you again. A slight change to how we normally do it. I'm going to show the topics we will be handling today so people can tune in. I will be discussing the K2 Sherpa calamity thing. And DJ, you will be delving into the far, far history of hip hop. Not true, because it takes us right to where you are in Jamaica. Do not divulge anymore. Let me quickly invite people to join the chat if they wish. You can take your phone and hold it horizontally and scan the code you see in the corner, and then follow all the prompts to get it to be behind us here in the orange room, waiting for us to pull you up. And alternatively, if you are on a laptop, which I much prefer, please use the Chrome browser and find your way to this URL. It is case sensitive. Go to that URL and join us and wait for us here behind the scenes in the orange room. If you wish to talk with us about our topic of the day being no Herc, no hip hop for DJ, and the Sherpa calamity that we recently read all about in the newspapers last week. Stuff happened. That's where we're going to go today, right, DJ?
Yep.
Anything you wish to share with the people before we head straight in?
No.
No?
Nothing. No.
Okay, so let us head straight in. I will be starting today the story that took place in Pakistan. All started with Kristen Halira, who is a mountaineer from Norway. And she and her crew were on their way up the K2 mountain, which is the second highest peak of the Mount Everest, and the second highest peak in the world, to be fair. And she was trying to break her own record and reaching her 14th 8,000 meter peak in as little time as possible, which is all fine. And things went according to plan until at some point a mishap happened. Their Sherpa, who is their guides, their what would you call such a person, DJ? A guide?
No, I would say a guide. A guide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when people climb up huge mountains like the K2, they have a couple of guides, and some of them go up um, before the rest of them because they go up to put up the ropes and to check out the route
Yeah.
and to know everybody will be
But
safe.
I also think generally the guides, because they're native to the area, know the safest and the best routes to take.
Exactly. Yes, and
But therein lies an irony, really and
why is
truly.
that?
Well,
Why?
because of how he fell in the first place.
Well, he slipped, I guess, and
Yeah.
he got all tangled up in the ropes he was pulling up to fasten.
Mm,
And it's a horrendous story. He hung upside down for a while, and they had to go down with ropes themselves and turn him back up.
mm,
And they put him on the ledge, which you can
mm,
see on the left picture there in the background. You see a figure clad in yellow. That is this Sherpa Mohammed Hassan. They put him on a very small ledge in which you can only go up single file. And that's when the story hit, because according to reports, the crew going up the mountain, some of them stepped over Mr. Hassan's body on their way up. And basically what happened is, well, he died. That's what happened. Kristen Halira, who is the main character in this very unfortunate story, she has come out in the open on several occasions. At first, she actually denied that anybody stepped over Mr. Hassan's body, which was still alive at the moment. And then later on, she said she went up and her crew stayed down and they did everything to save him. But there are also reports from other people who were in that group of people who said, well, actually, there was only one person trying to help Mr. Hassan.
And that was another thing that I read. One of her reactions was there was someone helping him. There was nothing more we could do, so we being her and the rest of her crew, so we just continued to pursue to reach the peak. But also another. Sorry, have you finished? Because I was.
No, I'm curious as to what you're going to say.
Another startling thing about this is that where was the official rescue force? Because you would expect helicopters or something like that.
No.
To try and do, but and here's the thing: I've been reading up about where people are saying it's because he was Pakistani. If he was a Westerner, if he was white, it may an official rescue operation with helicopters or whatever may well have taken place, and that person and he may well be alive.
What do you make of that?
Well, if that's true, then you know, why should I be surprised? You know, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
It doesn't. Let's watch a clip that I found. There's many clips online to be found. Even one clip that DJ and I are not. We don't agree whether or not it's conclusive what we see, but I think what we definitely see is somebody stepping over Mr. Hassan's body. I'm not showing that because to me I found it shocking when I saw it, and that's not what I want to do with this program. But here is a cleaner version and put into context.
A moment of life and death captured in real time near the top of the K2. The group of climbers in this video can be seen just 1,300 feet away from the top of the world's second highest mountain. But rather than celebration, some face criticism after a porter collapsed on the route. Mohammed Hassan, a father of three, had slipped from a narrow ledge at around 8,200 meters. But a video shows part of a group climbing over him, pushing on to reach the summit.
We are very happy to be here.
Record-breaking mountaineer Kirsten Harila was among the climbers determined to set a new record, filming this video before she says she knew Hassan was dead. Harila, though, believes she and her team did everything they could.
We tried to rescue him for many hours, and it's a very, very challenging and dangerous mountain, and we were probably on the most dangerous place, and it was an accident, and we tried what we could.
But footage of the fatality, captured by mountaineer Philip Flamig, tells a different tale, and so does he.
It's really terrifying. They had to literally step over this body when he was lying there on this little ledge, which is like this. All these people needed to pass him. He was still alive. In the next picture I saw, okay, they are up. There was just one person rubbing him. I said, why didn't they brought him down?
Some of the climbers have now met with Hassan's family, who are coming to terms with their loss. But for those who were there with him at the end of his life, questions over whether they did all they could to save him. Shaman Freeman-Powell, Sky News.
Yeah, so now that you've seen this, DJ, what do you make of it?
Well, yeah, he was alive, you know, but what do you do? I mean, I go back to what the report that I saw, where she was saying that there was nothing anyone could do because the conditions were so bad. He was going to die, basically. It doesn't make it right. I'm not saying it makes it right, that they did to continue. Maybe they should have just called it a day there and then. That's probably what they should have done. But
That's what I make of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
know there's thousands and thousands of dollars involved in a climb like that. But
Sponsorship. Yeah.
yeah, that too. And of course, I mean, you need to wait a long time for the right conditions to go up a mountain like the K2.
Sure.
But how can you continue your record attempt knowing knowing that, you know, somebody is either dying or dead at the moment? That's my question.
Yeah. Where's your conscience?
Yeah. What would you do?
Well, I have a conscience most of the time, and I would definitely have. It's easy to say, but I would not have wanted to pursue the climb. I would have wanted to, you know, to try everything to rescue this person, to save this person. Even if it was pretty much impossible, I would still have wanted to just stay with that person until help came, even if he was actually dead.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And then there's this her own account, Miss Harila's account, that keeps changing slightly. I find that hard to stomach.
Yeah, moving the goalposts kind of thing.
Yeah.
She's obviously trying to defend herself. So she says something, gets criticism, and say, "Oh, okay, maybe I should word it differently," that kind of thing.
No, not maybe worded differently. Maybe I should say a totally different thing, is what she says.
Or a different story, yeah.
Because you hear her in this clip saying there were many people waiting, helping him, and you hear the camera guy who actually shot the thing saying there was, and we see one guy or one person hovering over Mr. Hassan's body. I find this hard, and then, I mean, it's not the first time this happens. It actually happens quite often that people on their way up a mountain leave behind somebody who's about to die or who has just died, and then on their way. I once saw a report. They go up, and on their way back, they say, "Oh, he's dead now. Let's take him down." And
yeah, I mean that kind of goes with the territory of mountaineering when you're doing that kind of thing. You know, it's almost like expected that there will be the odd fatality. It's not a major shock or anything like that. So maybe that does something to the mindset to people who regularly do this kind of thing. I'm not saying it's right, but maybe there's something in that. But when this story broke, it reminded me of a story back in 2012 where an Israeli mountaineer was climbing Everest. And he was 300 meters from the peak, which in terms of Everest, 300 meters, relatively speaking, is not very much, because it's so big. But he came across this other person, a Turkish guy, who was lying and he was dying, and he stopped, and he effectively basically saved his life, and he abandoned his pursuit of going to the summit, and even during his attempt to try and do as much as he can to this Turkish guy before the main kind of ambulance people arrived, was that he had to remove his gloves from his right hand, and his oxygen system ceased to work. This is the rescuer, and at the end of the ordeal, basically the guy survived, but he had four frozen blue fingers on his right hand, and the hospital people wanted to amputate them, but he refused. And to this day, I haven't been able to find any information to say what actually happened. Did his fingers recover? Did they end up getting amputated? I don't know. But he has gone down in history for, you know, because of what he did.
Yeah. Which to me is the proper thing to do. I mean, and bless him for losing his four fingers. But the thing is, when you go up that K2, if you look on the left-hand picture, you'll see the orange arrow pointing to a spot that is called, what they call it, the bottleneck, and it's right near the top. And they call that the death zone of Mount Everest. That is where, and that is where this happened. Our story with Miss Harila going up that peak. It was exactly at that spot where things went wrong. For some reason, it's the winds. It's the very small piece of ice that you can actually walk on. It's a horrific piece of nature there. So
I mean, it's treacherous is an understatement, I guess.
Definitely. But then if you look on to the picture on the right, DJ, look at that mountain peak tourism. There is something to be said about that. At least I have something to say about that. What is it that excuses Westerners, because it's Westerners climbing up these mountains, and they definitely use the porters, the Sherpas, and the guides from Pakistan or from wherever it is that they're climbing mountains, but it is Westerners doing this. When is enough enough? When do Westerners stop having the right, in search of thrills, to kill off other people, to damage nature? Why must they go into the jungle and stroke alligators? Why is it that they have to go zip lining over a waterfall? Why is it that they have to climb up the world's second highest peak? What is this thrill seeking? Why are they allowed to do this? I'm asking you.
Well, how
It is not their world.
It's not something I would aspire to do, that's for sure. You know, whether it's climbing a mountain or stroking an alligator, I wouldn't want to do either of those things. It's not only dangerous, but it's also interfering with nature.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. On their way up, they got to leave behind the remnants of their little tents. They got tins of food. They're not going to carry those up that peak. So they're going to eat the tin can and leave it somewhere. Then they're going to go up that peak, and it's going to start melting because there's 75 people standing on top of it. All of that. I'm wondering, first of all, why this need for thrill seeking? And second of all, why is it that the rest of the world is allowing it? It's the same people. It's the same people who go to Africa and kill elephants and then go on Facebook saying, "Look at me with an elephant."
So here's something. If you were to ask that same question to a Sherpa or some of the natives that live there, who actually benefit financially from these people. Because for them it's work, it's a livelihood to go.
That has always been the excuse. I know. The West comes into some little pristine place in this world of ours and says, "Look here, I'm going to wave some dollars so you can go buy yourself some crap that you don't really need. Just take me up that mountain." This is the other way around. It's the Sherpa had a job before he was a Sherpa. He was carrying up food and donkeys and tents for his own people. That was his work.
Okay.
It's when the Westerners come in and dangle their little bundle of dollars in somebody's face that people start doing this kind of thing, like being a guide to a group like this.
Yeah, like putting their lives on the line, basically. Every time they're putting their lives on the line.
This man was in his 30s. He leaves behind a wife and 3 little children. He's dead.
I wonder how experienced he actually was. I'm not saying potentially that inexperience caused him to fall, but I wonder how many times he had been up that same route, that same path of that mountain.
Not so many times, from what I read, but he's not the first Sherpa to die. Sure. There have been Sherpas who've been doing it for a good while, who an accident, climbing up a peak like that is an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's why I'm saying it's no surprise when mountaineers come across dead people, because it's expected. It goes with the territory. That's just how it is. It's not a nice thing.
But you have not answered my questions.
Why do they do it?
What is this thrill-seeking thing, and why is the rest of the world facilitating it?
Because thrill-seeking, because it's a thrill, and they feel that they need these thrills. They
are spoiled brats. That's what they are. They got too much money. They got too much time. They got too much privilege. They got too much, whatever it is you want to call it. I mean,
could you align it with people who are prepared to pay $1 million to go into space because that's
the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's risky as well.
And then, first of all, we're gonna, damage this Earth that we live on, and now we're going up into space. We're gonna do the same thing. And I hear too many people say it's the next step. It's only logical. I just want to bash them in their face.
Why is it only logical? Says who? Who says that's logical?
Because these people are megalomaniacs. That's what they are. They got too much money. They got too much privilege. They got too much time on their hands.
It's people like Musk and Branson that make this kind of thing available.
Yes, making money off of it.
Yes, but they're the ones that, yes, they're making money off it. Yeah, definitely.
I say we need to stop this. I say we need to stop this indulgent, petty, despicable behavior. Let people find their thrill in their families. Go find a hobby that does not include killing the rest of us or killing this Earth. Go do something proper with your money. I mean, I don't know what this costs to do, but imagine the hospitals you could fund with that money.
I guess if you put these kind of questions to the mountaineers themselves, these Westerners who are spending all this money to do it, they're just going to say, but the Sherpas, we're not forcing them to do it. They don't have to do it. I know, but that's what they would say, isn't it?
Because they are spoiled brats and very self-indulgent. They think this world belongs to them, and the rest of us is just here for their thrill and to clean up after them.
It's that entitlement thing, isn't it? Yeah, they think they're entitled to.
Yes, and I'm here to tell them they are not. It is not your world, people. It's all of us world.
No. It doesn't belong to who's us.
All of us.
All living things, not just humans.
All of us, exactly, including the trees and the little bug in the garden.
No, but we humans and living organisms, animals, flowers, we don't own the world. We're just the leaseholders. We're just looking after it.
And we're very lousy leaseholders.
No, we're not looking after it very well. I grant you, yeah. But that's what it is. Yeah, true, but it's a tragic story.
It is.
But I bet you, I think you alluded it to before. It's happened before. This one just happens to have been in the public. It's been reported on. It's been covered. But it's not the first time.
She shouldn't have lied. She shouldn't have lied. Yeah, that's what I say. Anyway, if anybody watching wants to join in on this story, check out that QR code.
I wonder what the reaction is in Norway.
Different. I know that the reaction from mountaineers has been not so positive, from many mountaineers, I should say. Not all, of course. Yeah. Anyway, anybody watching wants to comment on this or join us in the studio, feel free to do so. You can comment on YouTube and on Facebook, and you can join us in the studio using that link or scanning that QR code. Enough of that, DJ Conscious. Let us move on to topic number
topic.
2. Happier topic to end with. Kindly introduce the topic.
Okay. How did you said no Herc, no hip hop? That's how you headlined it. Okay. Herc is DJ Cool Herc, spelled with a K.
It's short for Hercules, from the time he used to be a basketball player.
I did guess that. I did wonder. I didn't look it up though. But Herc, called DJ Herc, is widely acknowledged as the father of hip hop.
Yes, and hip hop, as we all know, has been with us for 50 years. 50.
But that 50 years dates back to 1973.
Yes.
And it dates back to a significant moment when it's alleged that that's when hip hop was born. And that moment took place in a house party in the Bronx, where he was living at the time, where he was DJing, and he decided to not just use one turntable but 2 turntables. This was in the days of records. Well, records still are in effect anyway. And what he was actually doing was he on let's say deck 1 and deck 2. On deck 1 he was playing a tune. On deck 2 he had exactly the same record, or copied the same record, and he cued it in such a way that when a certain drum beat on deck 1 ended, it continued on deck 2. So,
Yes.
so it extended the length of that beat, which became known as a break beat.
Yes, and he didn't always do it with one tune double. He also did
Yeah.
it with tunes with the same beat. We got a clip, DJ. Of course, we
Yes.
got a clip. This
Yeah,
is
man, yeah, man,
this
yeah,
is the Wenzzzday Ting. We got a clip.
Yeah.
So this was a breath of fresh air for us, going somewhere we could hear some music. Turned out to be a success.
Herc was one of the first DJs in the Bronx to borrow a technique from Manhattan's downtown discotheques, the use of 2 turntables. This meant DJs could play music without interruption, mixing from the end of one record straight into the beginning of another. But unlike other DJs, Herc didn't play disco music. Instead, he specialized in the kind of hard-edged funk music that others ignored.
Yeah, I remember going to the Herc parties, and that started in the community room, and it grew so big that we couldn't fit in the community room anymore.
What singled out Herc as a DJ was his keen eye for crowd reaction. He noticed that the energy on the dance floor hit a peak during the instrumental breaks in the records, the point when the singing stops and the music carries on. From this simple observation, Herc came up with an idea that would become the basis of hip-hop.
One night, I'm waiting for the record to play out. I said, I wonder if I put that to myself. I said, if they're waiting for this particular break and I have a couple more records that's got the same breakup in it, I wonder how would it be if I put them all together. And I told them, I said, I'm going to try something new tonight. I'm going to call it a merry-go-round.
Herc's merry-go-round meant that instead of playing whole records, he would play just the instrumental breaks, mixing between them to create a continuous dance rhythm.
I started out with James Brown, clap your hand, stomp your feet. That part right there, when the break, boom, I had to come in with bongo rock.
Wicked stuff.
So this is the beginning of mixing.
Well, no, he said he borrowed the technique from a New York club of using 2 turntables where they were playing disco music. So maybe they were mixing the disco music then.
Maybe they were,
but,
yes.
But it took mixing to another level, and it also later I'm not sure how soon introduced scratching as well, which was very synonymous with hip hop. But what a lot of
you forgot to mention very important detail.
No, I'm going on to that. But that important detail is that Cool, if I'm reading you right, is Cool Herc is actually Jamaican.
Yay.
He was born in Kingston and lived and grew up hearing and probably checking out some of the sound systems in Jamaica and the toasters. Toasters are the DJs, people who in Jamaica who take a mic and sing or chat over a rhythm or an instrumental, as he was alluding to in that clip. And he moved to the Bronx with his family in New York when he was 12. So he had that. He took with him the memories and the ideas and the innovations of the way Jamaicans do their sound systems and what happens on the dance floors when a tune stops, the vocal part of a tune stops. But in Jamaica, when it was reggae, when the vocal stops, you flip the record, it's normally a 7-inch, and you've got the instrumental or the rhythm track on the other side. And then DJing in Jamaica, or toasting as it's known, was born.
Yes.
People like you, Roy, I, Roy, Big Youth, King Stitt, etc., etc. But what I was going on to say before that is you cannot underestimate or overestimate, I think, the influence of James Brown on all of this.
Oh,
because
definitely.
it was only when I saw that clip, that tune, Give It Up and Turn Me Loose, I think it's called, but enough other James Brown tunes have break beats that he innovated. He was original beyond.
That's because James Brown did those breaks. I mean, that was
Yeah.
part of his whole music, wasn't it?
But in that clip, I mean, you didn't include. They interviewed that lady standing outside the apartment building, saying, "Yeah, but another later on in that same part of the interview, she said, no James Brown, no party."
That's what she said.
That's what
exactly.
she said. It wouldn't have happened, and that's what I'm alluding to. James Brown's influence in hip hop is
huge,
is crucial. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember going to clubs, black music clubs. I was probably one of very few white people, but black music clubs in London in the 80s, where they were playing James Brown breaks, and they were playing tunes like Shaft in Africa, which was the follow-up to the Shaft film. Wicked soundtrack, full of break beats, and stuff like that. And you know, that and the dancing that you saw as well. And this is another thing that came from it. You saw it in some of the clips there. You saw the way people were moving. I don't think you saw any break dancing, so to speak, as we know it today, and people spinning around on their head.
That happened later, but it's all part of the hip hop culture.
Yes.
Let me quickly remind people, we're talking about this because we have been celebrating 50 years of hip hop, and incidentally, every magazine in the world had a topic on the subject, which is great. And let's not forget that Nike made tons and tons and tons of money off of this culture, this hip hop culture, because everybody's wearing Nikes.
But that's interconnected with basketball as well.
Definitely,
in America. But it's a big thing. The connection between basketball and hip hop is a big thing. But the other thing, the interesting thing about Herc is that he remained a DJ. He was never a recording artist. He didn't go into a recording studio. Before I'd heard of Herc, I knew about this story from many years ago. I just didn't know his name until recently, until the 50 years of hip hop. But before him, it was widely acclaimed that Africa Bambaataa and shortly followed by Grandmaster Flash were the first recording artists.
Yes.
Yes, there's a difference.
And they always credited Herc. They always did.
Well, Flash, I saw a quote where Grandmaster Flash, who actually is from Barbados, I didn't know he was from the Caribbean, but he's from Barbados as well. And he said he saw what Herc was doing and tried to do it better. That was his word. So
we cannot knock Flash. Really, we cannot.
No. And I'm sure Africa Bambaataa saying, it was always, people always used to say to me, Africa Bambaataa were the first official proper hip hop recording artists, even before Flash. It was always Africa Bambaataa that people used to speak. When it was known as electro, it wasn't even known as hip hop then. Remember that? Electric
boogie? No?
What? No, electro.
Oh, electro. Yeah.
That's what it was called before it evolved into what we know as hip hop. But it was called electro then. It wasn't called hip hop then.
Well, you're talking strictly about the music now, because as we know, hip hop is the culture. Hip hop includes the graffiti, and it includes the break dancing, and it includes the rap music as we know it now.
Skateboarding.
Wearing Nikes and all of that. So here's our Jamaican guy, cool DJ Cool Herc. There's something about the middle picture you wanted to share with us?
Yeah, that was that's from 2009 from in a nightclub in the Bronx, where it was a special event to commemorate, I think is the right word, the influence of West Indian culture. That's what it said on hip hop, but it's primarily Jamaican. I think that's what they mean.
let's decolonize it and say Caribbean. It's not West Indies, it's the Caribbean.
No, that's how it was worded when I saw the
I know.
I'm
in the business of decolonizing stuff.
No, I've never liked the term West Indian myself either.
No.
But I was just quoting it verbatim. But
the picture on the right, if you allow me, the picture on the right is earlier this year when he got Cool Herc got his name in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as being, I suppose, the godfather of hip hop. Big up the man. He's what, 70 something now, I believe. Do you know?
He was born in 55, so that makes him about 68.
You're better at math these days than I am. I believe you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's 68.
68.
He was born in 55.
Yeah. Excellent. So 50 years of wonderful stuff that we have to thank to this Jamaican guy who, yeah man, we have to give him thanks and praises.
You wouldn't have, would Tupac have existed
No.
as a hip, would Ice Cube and Biggie Small and all the other ones?
I don't think so, unless somebody else came up with the brainwave that Cool Herc came up with. And what are the odds? What are the odds?
This is always the thing. I've been having a social media, let's say, interaction with a bunch of people on a post that was posted a few days ago about the Studio One label legacy and the fact that it should be sold. And the family members are complaining that they need more money from it. It's very complicated. I'm not going to go into. I don't.
Never mind.
It's extreme. But the point is, it got to the point where people were saying. In fact, I was saying, would reggae music as we know it today exist if it wasn't for Coxsone and what he did for Studio One? Because almost every single artist, legendary artist, at one point or another, either got their break at Studio One or did some stuff at Studio One before it became rocksteady and before it became reggae.
Yeah.
So and they were saying, well, if it wasn't Coxsone, someone else would have done it. But how do you know that?
You don't.
And if you apply the same thing to Herc, if it wasn't for Herc, would someone else have stepped in his shoes and done what he did?
I personally believe that a streak of genius is exactly that. It comes to you, and it comes to you at a certain point in time and under certain circumstances and with certain background. And that's when things come together. So I think it's futile to say if it hadn't been Herc, it would have been somebody else.
No, I agree. But that's what a lot of people have been coming up with and saying, well, Coxsone wasn't such a big deal because someone else would have done it. But
yeah,
I'm saying Coxsone put out over 6,000 released records.
I know.
Who else has done that in any genre in the world? It's amazing.
In the world. Exactly.
Any genre. 6,000. Right. Incredible stuff.
Got you going there. Yes. So excellent. So this was our little tribute to Herc. Anything you need to tell us still before we close off this program?
Oh, is it gone? Is it time already? Good.
Yeah. You remember we once decided it would be half an hour. We've done none within half an hour.
Well, because we're so keen on what we, It's just as well we don't have to we don't have to sign off because there's a news bulletin coming up.
No, stop that. Yeah,
like it would be on regular TV. But and Herc. Something else I read. There are DJs today that can't do what even today that doing what Herc was doing then. And that was a specific reference to the fact that most DJs these days use laptops and not turntables. But even for those who still use turntables, there's still a big skill to make it sound right.
If you ever tried to mix two records seamlessly, I mean, I know I've tried. I know it takes me hours to get it right. And these people do it live there on stage in front of an audience, and it takes a special talent.
They're professional DJs, and that's why they get paid a DJ fee for doing it because they can do it. But the thing is, these days it would be easier even on turntables because nearly the modern DJ mixer has this thing called BPMs.
Yeah,
and you know what I'm saying. So
beats per minute.
So you've got a record playing on deck one, say at 150. You're queuing up the next record on record 2. You just force it to say, do it at 150. Yes. And it's easy in that, but it's not actually as easy as it sounds.
No,
because
you
it
need
doesn't
a good
necessarily
ear.
mean it's not necessarily going to flow properly.
No. So you need you need a really good ear, and you need proper coordination for your little slider and all of that. And it's just an art form. I think mixing music is an art form that we really need to.
Definitely. I remember so I'm just getting carried away here. There was a legendary Kiss FM DJ called Paul Trouble Anderson, who's now gone, but he was known as in DJs amongst the world as the best mixer that there ever was.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew not just exactly which record to queue up to follow, but which part of the record, without even always putting on the headphones. He knew which groove he had
which groove to go. And it's one groove. Don't forget, it's one groove. Your phone is ringing. Turn off your phone. Now. Oh, it stopped.
It's a missed call.
Yeah, well, you missed it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Excellent. We could talk hours and hours, which we won't do. We will not, DJ. I mean, we need to keep people gasping for more. And more there will be next Wednesday. If you tune in on the 23rd of August, we'll be back with 2 new topics. I hope you can make it, DJ. Anything that's gonna come in between? No, right? It's your plan to be part of the show next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I have no other plans. So,
excellent. Yeah. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to what you come up with, and I'm looking forward to what I'm going to come up with. I have no idea.
Yeah. But let's try and at least have one happy topic if we can.
Yeah, it's nice to end on a happy tone. It's true. It's true.
One note that I think the last time I was here, the week before last, where the subject was Sinead O'Connor. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
But I started off that show by congratulating the women's Jamaica football team for, if you remember, for qualifying to the knockouts. So, well, alas, they qualified, but they got beaten by Colombia.
They did. Yeah, and the Dutch got kicked out as well. But we got one foot in the Dutch got one foot in the finals because the British trainer is Dutch. So England is going to play with their Dutch trainer against Spain, who knocked out the Netherlands. So whichever way you look at it, the Netherlands win.
All right, I'll give you that one.
But the Reggae Girls did really well. We have to be proud of them. They were really great. So
they did, and let's make sure that if it next time that they get proper funding.
Proper funding.
It was a real mess.
No, it's shameful. It's shameful the amount of money that went to the Reggae Boys, who never really achieved anything, and the way that the Reggae Girls need to go scraping. And if it wasn't for the daughter of Bob Marley, there would be no Reggae Girls. So no, we need to work on that. It's misogyny. It's football misogyny. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm going to hold my hands up. I have never actually watched from start to finish a women's football match.
Because you're a man. You're a misogynist yourself. DJ, we're going to end this program. I'm going to see you next week. Thank you for watching, everybody. Bless up. Bye. PocaTV Wenzzzday.